Sinach, born Osinachi Kalu, Okoro Egbu, on March 30, 1972, in Afikpo, South, Ebonyi State, Nigeria, is a living legend in the world of gospel music. With a career that spans over 3 decades, she is celebrated as one of Africa's most influential gospel artists. Known for her profound spiritual messages and powerful voice, Sinach has become a beacon of hope and inspiration to millions worldwide. Serving as a senior worship leader at Christ Embassy Church for over 30 years, she has dedicated her life to leading others in worship and spreading the gospel through song. Married to Pastor Joseph Egbu and a proud mother, Sinach's journey in music began humbly in 1989, singing for family and friends while serving faithfully in the church. Her big break came in 2008 with the release of her debut album, Chapter 111, but it was the global hit Waymaker that catapulted her to international fame. The song, which has been translated and covered by artists across the globe, remains an anthem of faith and hope, with timeless hits like Know Who I Am and Great Are You, Lord. Sinach's music transcends borders, generations, and denominations, solidifying her as not just a gospel singer, but a global icon of faith. Her music continues to inspire and uplift, touching lives across continents and shaping the future of gospel music worldwide. Sinach's miraculous rescue from an automobile accident in 2025 is the first example of divine intervention. Few musicians in the history of gospel music have had such a profound impact on people's hearts and faith as Osinachi Kalu Okoro Egbu. Better known by his stage name, Sinach, Sinach is a Nigerian gospel singer, songwriter, and worship leader whose music crosses theological and cultural barriers to become a symbol of spiritual resiliency. Her life, which has been filled with both successes and setbacks, demonstrates a strong dedication to her faith, which was exemplified in a near-tragic event in June 2025. Sinach was at the center of a potentially fatal situation in June 2025 that would challenge her faith and enthrall her audience throughout the world. Sinach and her driver got into a car accident while traveling that might have had disastrous results. She claimed that she and the driver had both briefly dozed off, a foolish mistake that could have resulted in catastrophe. However, the car and its passengers survived in what she called a miraculous turn of events. Sinach famously said, "God was not sleeping," attributing this result to divine intervention, a moving illustration of her faith in God's guardianship over her life. Despite its short length, this episode had significant ramifications. One of the main causes of auto accidents worldwide that frequently result in serious injuries or fatalities is dozing off while operating a motor vehicle. Sinach's claim of supernatural protection was supported by the fact that she and her driver managed to escape unharmed, which defied the odds. She openly recounted her testimony to show relief and to reaffirm her belief in God's omnipresence and power, and her appreciation for this release was evident. Her audience responded strongly to this story of vulnerability and victory, which strengthened her position as a spiritual leader. Understanding Sinach's history and the setting of her ministry is crucial to appreciating the significance of this occasion. Sinach was born in Afikpo, South, Ebonyi State, Nigeria, on March 30, 1972. For more than 30 years, he has been a senior worship leader at Christ Embassy Church in Lagos, with the publication of her hit song, Waymaker, a worldwide anthem that has been translated and recorded by musicians all over the world. Her career, which had started off humbly in 1989, soared to international stardom. Her reputation as one of Africa's leading gospel performers has been further cemented by songs like Great Are You, Lord, and I Know Who I Am. The capacity of Sinach's music to evoke hope and faith has earned it millions of streams and a broad following, frequently referencing her own encounters with God's faithfulness. Since she prefers to keep personal affairs private and concentrate on her ministry and singing, she presents a kind and discreet public image. She did, however, discuss the specifics of her near-death experience with her fans in a rare moment of candor following the 2025 automobile accident, because it matched the feelings of divine protection and gratitude that permeate her writing. This transparency not only made her more relatable, but also increased the impact of her testimony. Because of Sinach's personal story, media channels, and social media, The news of her vehicle accident circulated quickly. Supporters, other gospel musicians, and the larger Christian community came together to show relief and amazement at her incredible survival. Numerous discussions concerning faith, divine intervention, and the effectiveness of prayer were spurred by the episode. Fans expressed their feelings on sites like X, with many of them agreeing with Sinach that God wasn't asleep. A virtual community of shared faith and thankfulness was created by posts that range from comments on comparable personal experiences to prayers of thanksgiving. This incident also brought to light Sinach's resilience, which has been a defining characteristic of her career. She has continuously come out stronger, using her experiences to strengthen her ministry. Even in the face of additional difficulties, such alleged personal hardships and false death rumors in 2022, her conviction that God's protection endures even when human weakness was confirmed by the vehicle accident. Sinach and her admirers had a closer bond as a result of her readiness to openly share her narrative, which encouraged her audience to consider their own experiences with divine grace. The vehicle collision in 2025 was more than just a personal story. It was a spiritual and cultural event that emphasized the importance of faith in overcoming life's challenges. The incident served as a reminder to Sinach's fans of the subjects she supports in her music. Thanks for God's favors, perseverance in the face of hardship, and faith in Him. Her speech struck a chord, especially in Nigeria, where issues like inadequate infrastructure and tired drivers are major causes of traffic accidents. Sinach gave hope to people facing similar anxieties by portraying her survival as a result of supernatural intervention, thereby reaffirming that faith can overcome even the most dangerous circumstances. The incident also demonstrated the effectiveness of gospel music as a storytelling and spiritually uplifting medium. Sinach's faith has always been expressed via her music, and this incident offered a true story that reflected the topics in her lyrics. The theme of Waymaker, which describes God as a miracle worker, promise keeper, and light in the dark, was echoed by her survival tale, according to fans and commentators. As her testimony evolved into a live sermon, this congruence between her life and her art enhanced her authority as a worship leader. Although Sinach gives a convincing narrative of the accident, it is important to keep in mind that the majority of the information about it comes from her own words and news sources. Like the testimony of any public figure, it must be carefully considered to prevent sensationalism or false information. The capacity to independently verify the incident is limited by the absence of specific facts, such as the precise place, time, or circumstances of the accident. Nonetheless, Sinach's claim is given weight by her reputation as an honest person and the coherence of her story across all channels. Her ministry's emphasis on spiritual truths over temporal facts is consistent with her focus on divine intervention rather than the accident's mechanics. The second is the dangers of false information. The fake death and Sinach 2022 rumors. Concerning claims circulated on the internet in April 2022 that Sinach, one of the most popular gospel singers in Africa, had died. These rumors quickly gained traction on social media, especially on X and other online forums, where spectacular headlines and unsubstantiated posts incited fear among her followers. The assertions differed in detail and had no reliable source or supporting data. Some alluded to an accident, while others suggested a sudden sickness, but they were all deceptive. The emotional commitment of Sinach's fan base, who were eager to express their sorrow and incredulity, unintentionally helped the rumors spread, making them more likely to become viral. Sin was unexpectedly pulled into the spotlight. Despite having a pretty discreet personal existence, despite her public ministry, eventually, Sinach herself confirmed that she was still alive and well, carrying on with her duties as a worship leader at the Christ Embassy Church in Lagos, Nigeria, dispelling the rumors. But the harm was already done. Her fans were deeply distressed by the misleading reports and were relieved and frustrated to find out the reality. This tragedy demonstrated how susceptible public figures are to online hoaxes and the devastating emotional toll that such lies can take on the victim as well as their community. Setting Sinach's place in the gospel music scene in perspective is crucial to appreciating the seriousness of this episode. Sinach, a senior worship leader at Christ Embassy, has devoted more than 30 years to her ministry. She was born on March 30, 1972, in Afiko South, Ebonyi State, Nigeria. Her music has struck a chord with millions of people due to its international appeal and spiritual depth, garnering her recognition as Africa's top gospel performer. She is well known in Christian communities around the world thanks to songs like Waymaker, which has been performed by artists and translated into other languages. While Sinach's music is intensely personal, expressing her experiences and faith, her public demeanor is one of grace, tenacity, and caution. She focuses on her ministry and art rather than sharing personal facts of her life. Since of her restrained demeanor, the unfounded death rumors were especially startling since they broke the carefully maintained division between her private and public lives. It also created a heartbreaking irony that her admirers were forced to face the fear of her loss through a baseless hoax, as the incident stood in stark contrast to the themes of hope and heavenly protection in her songs. Sinach's followers, who make up a broad and loyal worldwide community, were deeply affected emotionally by the fake death rumors that surfaced in April 2022. Sinach's music is more than just enjoyment for many people. It provides inspiration and spiritual fortitude. Fans took to social media sites like X to vent their sorrow and reminisce about the ways her music had impacted their lives after the abrupt announcement of her purported death. Posts that illustrate the strong bond her audience has with her work span from sincere tributes to prayers for her family. These same platforms became places of relief and joy after the rumors were disproved, but they also became places of annoyance at the brutality of the hoax. Though she hasn't discussed her sentiments about the incident in public, Sinach herself probably suffered a great deal emotionally. She had to deal with the rumors as a public figure while remaining calm and carrying on with her duties. She was probably dealing with the trauma of being wrongfully pronounced dead at the time, so how having to comfort fans and dispel the rumors added to her workload. The incident also highlighted how vulnerable artists are in the digital world, where rumors and fabrications about them can happen at any time. A clear reminder of the difficulties presented by misleading information in the internet age is provided by the unfounded death rumors surrounding Sinach. Although the internet is a great way to interact and communicate, it can also be a haven for unsubstantiated claims, especially on social media sites where speed frequently takes precedence over accuracy. The absence of gatekeeping measures on sites like X, where anyone can post without thorough fact-checking, contributed to the 2022 rumors' widespread growth. Similar frauds that target other celebrities are mirrored in this episode, exposing a structural problem with the way information is shared and accessed online. Such false information has an emotional cost that goes beyond the immediate distress it creates. It makes it more difficult for fans to separate fact from fiction and undermines their faith in internet sources. It calls for public personalities like Sinach to take a proactive stance in controlling their narrative, frequently stopping their work to correct misinformation. The incident also calls into question individuals' duty in checking material before sharing it and social media companies' obligation to prevent disinformation. In Sinach's instance, the prompt discrediting of the rumors demonstrated the alertness of her followers and team. However, not every victim of these scams is as lucky. The episode highlights the importance of critical media literacy in the internet age. Even though the fake death rumors were disproved, it is challenging to completely comprehend the rumor's motive, whether malevolent or simply careless, due to the absence of precise information regarding their beginnings, such as who started them or why. The lie's quick dissemination, however, points to a larger cultural propensity to value sensationalism over truth. The event served as a reminder to Sinach enthusiasts to double-check information before sharing it. For the gospel community, however, it emphasized how crucial it is to preserve the moral character of public personalities who act as spiritual leaders. From a critical standpoint, Sinach's lack of specific public declarations of the emotional toll of the rumors restricts our understanding of her own experience. In addition to demonstrating her tenacity, her emphasis on returning to her ministry and comforting followers is consistent with her propensity to maintain private personal affairs. Although commendable, this discretion allows for conjecture, which can spread more false information. More open communication could help prevent similar occurrences in the future, while also balancing the need to respect individual limits. The third is dealing with personal difficulties. Sinach's fortitude in the face of family difficulties. Born in Afiko South, AI State, Nigeria, on March 30, 1972, Sinach has long been a symbol of spiritual fortitude. Beyond theological and cultural barriers, her music, which is based on her faith and experiences leading worship, appeals to a global audience. Sinach, who is married to Pastor Joseph Egbu and has a daughter with him, has always kept her personal life quiet, drawing attention to her music and ministry rather than her personal affairs. Her ability to embody the grace and strength expressed in her lyrics has won her admirers thanks to her caution. But according to rumors that arose in June 2025, Sinach had made an impassioned confession about personal issues that might have had to do with her marriage or family. According to these claims, which included a YouTube video that was making the rounds at the time, the gospel singer, who usually keeps her personal life out of the public eye, showed a rare moment of vulnerability. Online posts also mentioned her husband, Pastor Joe Egbu, making a public confession that allegedly affected their marriage and their joint ministry at Christ Embassy. The disclosure sparked strong emotions from fans and onlookers, underscoring the conflict between Sinach's public persona and her personal struggles, even though the precise nature of these incidents is still unknown due to a lack of confirmed evidence. According to reports, Sinach made an impassioned confession about personal troubles in the June 2025 YouTube video that went viral online. The confession was supposed to touch on issues in her marriage or family. However, specifics were not revealed, possibly a conscious decision considering her reclusive nature, since Sinach has tended to let her songs speak to universal themes of faith, optimism, and resilience rather than publicly discussing her own hardships. This moment of candor was noteworthy. Her choice to discuss these issues, albeit in a limited manner, deviated from her customary restraint and aroused rumors and anxiety among her global fan base. Fans who are used to viewing Sinach as a source of strength found great resonance in the emotional weight of this confession. Reactions on sites like X varied from prayers and words of support to interest in the details of her difficulties. Some writings implied marital problems or personal challenges that challenged her faith, but the lack of specific information spurred speculation. Nonetheless, Sinach's handling of the subject, which acknowledged her difficulties while preserving her privacy, demonstrated her dedication to managing private affairs with honor. This equilibrium demonstrated her fortitude as she persisted in leading worship and creating music in spite of the psychological toll these difficulties took on her. Reports of Sinach's husband, Pastor Joe Egbu, making a public confession that allegedly affected their marriage and ministry added to the story of personal struggles. Online conversations indicate that this confession was a noteworthy incident that garnered attention both inside and outside of the Christ Embassy group, despite the fact that the details are not clearly documented. Although it is hard to determine the precise extent of the problem due to the lack of confirmed data, some posts on X alluded to personal or ministerial difficulties resulting from this confession. The confession apparently impacted their shared life and work, which further complicated Sinach's personal struggles, regardless of whether it was related to a personal failing, a professional conflict, or something else entirely. For people like Sinach and Pastor Egbu, who co-served in a prominent church setting, the line between personal and ministerial responsibilities is especially sensitive. Any personal issues within the leadership of Christ Embassy, which is a well-known ministry with a global presence and is led by Pastor Chris Oyakhilome, might have a significant impact. Pastor Egbu's confession was made public, which probably increased the attention on SIOS, who had to deal with the consequences of her husband's behavior while navigating her own emotional challenges. Her capacity to uphold the integrity of her ministry and the elegance of her public persona was put to the test by this dual burden of personal hardships and public opinion. Significant online reactions were triggered by the revelations of CNO's personal struggles and Pastor Egbu's confession, especially on sites like X where fans and onlookers expressed their opinions. Many of the supporters offered prayers and words of encouragement as they showed sympathy and respect for Sinach's resilience. Others, however, speculated in an effort to make sense of the scant information that was available. These conversations' tendency to become viral highlighted how difficult it is to protect privacy in the digital age, where private information may easily become public knowledge. The emotional toll of Sinach's struggles was probably increased by the responses she saw online. She had to manage her own suffering while maintaining her spiritual leadership as a well-known artist whose music is closely linked to her faith. Because of her privacy concerns and the speculative nature of web postings, there was a lack of clarity surrounding the events, which led to speculation and conjecture. Even in the midst of hardship, Sina's ability to carry on with her ministry, releasing songs and leading worship, showcased her fortitude and dedication to her vocation. Although the details of her struggles are kept confidential, Sonia's tenacity is evident and echoes the themes of optimism and tenacity that characterize her music. Sina's tale is proof of the ability of faith to keep one going through life's most difficult times, as she continues to inspire millions with her worship.